Two wrongs cannot make a right. And it takes two to tango. It takes two to get married. One person cannot get married to himself or herself. Most of the criticisms that I've seen about this whole Ibom Air and the young girl saga has been one-sided, very, very biased. And usually I won't talk about this kind of issue, but because of how critical and dangerous it is for the predominantly biased criticism against the girl, I have to speak up. Because if we are silent in the face of this vast majority of biased criticism, then we are feeding impunity. And it is dangerous, not just to us as Nigerians today, but even to the 2027 elections. Why do I say so? I have seen criticisms from VeryDarkMan, from Rufai Oseni, Reuben Abati, Charles Apoki, and many more. And all of them, sadly, are biased. They are one-sided, despite the fact that these are people with very, very strong voice. And so it becomes important and necessary for me to make this video, for them to course correct, to adjust their criticisms for public good. If we fail to balance the criticism and call out the Ibom Air staff or crew for their own share of the blame, for their own guilt, if we fail, and we stop at just blaming the girl for being unruly, then we are feeding impunity fat, and it will come back to haunt us and hurt us, not just now, but in the 2027 elections. I am a person of foresight. I project, I look at the incidents, and I look at the effect it has or it will have, not just now, but in the future. And that is why I speak up, and I must now speak up. Even a criminal caught red-handed still has right to human dignity or right to dignity of human life. Even a criminal. And if we continue this narrative of one-sided criticism against the girl, we are saying the Constitution doesn't matter. That's what it means. And when we do that, we are empowering impunity. And that will come back to haunt us in 2027 if we are still alive before that time. If impunity does not finish all of us before that time. People like Reuben said it doesn't matter that some people are arguing that the staff of Ibom Air, that particular lady, the crew, the lady air hostess, actually exposed the breasts of that young girl. He said it doesn't matter. That what matters is the unruly behavior of the girl. For a Reuben Abati that knows Constitution, presumably, inside out, that is always quoting section 1 million, subsection 2 million. I am very surprised that he will say that it doesn't matter that the girl's breasts were exposed. That what matters is that the girl was wrong. In fact, even Rufai said the girl should have been in jail. We need to be careful. Rule of law is what our criticism should strengthen. This incident further reiterates the danger that our society is in. Disrespect for the rule of law. That is impunity. Now, the girl was clearly wrong from what we see in the videos about her reaction. She was wrong. She violated several laws in Nigeria in her response. Public order, she was disturbing the peace. Criminal code, penal code, she assaulted. Now, she's wrong. But even when she is wrong, she could have a defense. Let's not forget that provocation could be her defense. Whether or not she's going to defend herself by saying the air crew provoked her remains to be seen. It's up to her. Now, from what we see, we cannot even confirm yet that the girl refused to switch off her phone. What we have heard is a one-sided narrative of Ibom Air that the girl refused to switch off her phone. But from testimonies that we have seen from witnesses that were present on that flight, she did not refuse to switch off her phone. So that remains to be seen. In fact, what we can base our criticism on, which is what we see with our naked eyes, is the fact that she assaulted the crew multiple times. She can defend herself however she wants and claim provocation. That's up to her. But what we can see is that she assaulted, and that is wrong. I agree. And I also agree that if you do the crime, you should do the time. So whatever the law prescribes for her, she should get, provided that due process and the rule of law is respected. To stop there at just criticizing this young girl is inviting impunity into the affairs of the 2027 elections without knowing. And I am surprised that people with such great voices fail to see this. Are we saying that because a suspect was caught red-handed stealing money from a supermarket, that gives the police the right to begin to immediately beat and strip naked that suspect the moment they apprehend that suspect? Is that what we're saying? Do we understand what the constitutionally guaranteed right to dignity of human life is? Reuben Abati, VeryDarkMan, Rufai Oseni, Charles Apoki, do we understand what it means? Are we saying that a policeman legally has a right to begin to beat a suspect and strip the suspect naked just because the suspect was caught red-handed? Is that how rule of law works? We must not forget, and I will continue to emphasize it, it is dangerous, not just only for us now, but as we move and approach the 2027 elections. It is dangerous to be one-sided on issues like this. Very, very dangerous. Even a suspect can be in jail and still have rights. Now, where did Ibom Air go wrong? Because we have established very clearly where the lady went wrong. Even though we cannot yet prove how it started, but from how it ended, we can say, oh, she did this, she assaulted, that was wrong. But where did Ibom Air also go wrong? And in fact, now, it's no longer just Ibom Air. It is the airline operators of Nigeria that very hurriedly came out to ban the girl for life if the documents flying around in social media is anything to go by, if it is true and verified, they have also come to put their hand in the equation to feed impunity fat. Where was the airline operator of Nigeria in the case of Adams Oshiomhole? Where was the airline operations of Nigeria in the case of Kwamwan? We have not seen them ban Oshiomhole. We have not seen them ban Kwamwan. But very quickly, without giving the girl fair hearing, they breached another right of that lady. They went ahead to ban her for life. That is feeding impunity. Can we not see the impunity here? That for the case of this girl, the criticism is not balanced. Can we not see it? Now, how is it that Ibom Air is wrong? That lady, however wrong she was, and I agree, based on prima facie evidence, we can say she's wrong, she assaulted. However wrong she can be, does that give the air hostess the right to strip her naked, to dehumanize her? Does that give the security, whether that was, they call them pathfinders or whatever those people are, because those are definitely not aviation security, or perhaps they are. Does it give them the right to bundle the girl like an animal out of that place? Does it? No matter what the bylaws of FAN, F-A-A-N, or NCAA, no matter what their bylaw is, it is still inferior to the Constitution. The Constitution guarantees the right to dignity of human life and right to fair hearing for that girl, however wrong she is or was. And definitely supersedes whatever guidelines that the airline is hiding behind to justify that animalistic, beastly treatment meted out to that girl in response to whatever wrong she has committed. So, are we saying that the bylaws of FAAN or NCAA overrides the provisions of the Constitution that guarantees human rights, right to dignity of human person? If the girl was wrong, there are well laid out procedures to correct her. Even the police in that case does not have the power to strip her naked just because she's presumed extremely guilty. No. She has rights. So she can go to jail, but she can still enforce her fundamental human rights violation. She can enforce it. So we must speak to both sides so that our criticism is balanced, because there's a lot of learning opportunity in this case for all of us Nigerians. We are very, 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 very unaware of what the provisions of the law is concerning most issues, and we definitely are beginning to appear as though we don't understand what the rule of law or due process means. It appears as though even people with very, very strong voices do not fully understand what rule of law is. It has to be both sides. Rule of law is not one-sided. Rule of law is balanced. So two wrongs cannot make it right. The girl is wrong. Ibom Air is wrong. And guess what? The airline operators of Nigeria, they are even wronger. And many of the so-called analysts out there are failing to clarify this before Nigerians. Yes, They're failing. And if we fail, it is dangerous for the 2027 elections. Because this is an unscripted, it's an unplanned distraction. It's unplanned. Media distraction that is given now to distract us is unplanned. We should be talking about free and fair elections now. Electoral reforms. But no, we're discussing this. Now, another very grievous thing that must be pointed out is the fact that one of those airline crew, the Ibom Air crew members that was videoing the girl, leaked that video either directly or indirectly to the public space. Nobody is talking about it. Even VeryDarkMan, that has been a victim of this kind of thing, case in point, his case against Femi Falana, even Reuben Abati, Charles Apoki, we are failing to see the violations of Section 24 and others of the Cyber Crimes Act for that crew member of Ibom Air that videoed that lady naked and sent it either directly to the internet or to somebody else to send it to the internet. That person also committed a crime. So it's three-way now. And that person should be fished out by the police, and that person should be made to face the law. So the girl can be in prison, but she has a case against Ibom Air, and we must emphasize it. And then also a case against the person who revealed, who videoed and sent. See, it's one thing to video, and we must understand this. It is one thing to video and keep for evidence. Most of what is termed cyber crimes is not what is recorded and kept as evidence in court or for the court. That's not cyber crime. It becomes cyber crime and cyber bullying when you send it to another person. So whoever it is that is a member of the airline crew, the Ibom Air crew, or the security team, or the pathfinders, whoever they are, that recorded that incident with their video, saw the nudity of that girl, and sent it to someone else to send to the internet, to social media, or sent it to social media himself or herself directly, that person is also guilty of impunity, disrespect for the rule of law, disrespect for due process. And that person must also be brought to justice. This is how to give a balanced criticism of events. We must build a country that is built on rule of law, not a one-sided rule of law, but rule of law that applies to all, the high and mighty. Not rule of law that applies to this girl, but does not apply to Kwamwan or does not apply to Ushiomole. Not rule of law that, in fact, this is institutional impunity. And it's even more dangerous than individual impunity. What happened to this girl, many of you might argue and say it cannot happen to you. Yes, yours may not be that they will strip you naked. But when impunity bites you, you must wound. And if you fail to be balanced in the criticism of this girl in this incident and stop at just criticizing her without calling out Ibom Air for their own faults, then you are feeding impunity. And it's dangerous for us as a country right now, and particularly more dangerous for the 2027 elections. We must correct course.